Has the DA's office been cooperative with discovery?
No, and I'm going to tell you why I say that. You know, in Georgia, and I've done this many a times, you can actually do open records requests while you're in discovery. Now, it used to be you didn't even have to notify the opposing counsel, but then they changed it and said, look, you can't just be going around our back doing this. No, so I did one, notified opposing counsel. Fonnie Willis' office has not responded effectively with the documentation to this day. And all I asked for, because it became an issue in the case, which is an issue, but hey, we have the right to spend the money the way we want to spend it. It doesn't matter that it says must be attending Fulton or Atlanta public schools, given to Fulton County for Fulton County residents and students. So I said, hey, show me that. And you all have the deposition. I said, hey, show me that. Show me where it says in the grant itself, you could do whatever you want. It doesn't matter that it was given to Fulton County schools. If you wanted to go to Alaska and get a student from Alaska, you could do it. Show me that. We can't get an answer about that, really, except for when the depositions, I say disingenuously answered a question and said, I just interpret that to not mean only Fulton County students.
So let me point you to a couple of things, and committee members. One of these documents on top is called a project narrative. Ms. Timpson, is this a part of the grant application when you're describing what the funds are going to be used for?
Yes.
Okay. So on page 4, just kind of above the pie chart, whatever, so based on the demographics of court-involved youth in Fulton County, the primary demographic of this population served will be the African-American youth aged 13 to 16.
I see that.
Okay. And then on the JAG program, and this will be this, I don't know which exhibit number this participation application is. It says under education, school attending must be in Fulton County.
That's right.
Yes.
And is that part of that grant, that JAG grant, is that it's for Fulton County youth that must be enrolled in schools in Fulton County?
Yes, and that's the actual DA's application that they put out on their own website.
So, Ms. Timpson, I'm going to let you interject here for a second. How do you know that children outside of Fulton County were accepted into this program?
Because I worked directly with the students, there were several that were either outside the county or the state, and my first red flag was on our first day with the youth. Everybody went around and said what school they attended and where they're from, and there were many students who were outside of the state, outside of the county. It was essentially a summer program for the most privileged youth around the country. There were elected officials, grandkids there. Fonnie's niece, or what she represented as her niece from Florida, attended. We went and picked up the niece every morning from her office.
From Fonnie's office?
Yes, from Ms. Willis's office. Because she is a minor, I don't want to say her name. However, the documents are in the binder that I gave you. Another young lady that I worked with directly, she was from Wisconsin. She's currently still a resident of Wisconsin, attends Wisconsin schools. We were able to locate her mother's social media page that shows that they are still residents of that. Somebody who I won't necessarily say right now, but just won a DeKalb County state judgeship. Her kids attended the program as well. This was not a crime prevention program for at-risk youth in Fulton County. This was elected officials, kids, grandkids, cousins, nieces, nephews, and this was during the time when so many people in Fulton County were hollering about the dismay about the water boys. But what were we doing when we were given this money for these youth, but watching them on the news, and you know, that summer specifically, I just remember so many youth passing away due to gun violence. And I'm not saying that we could have changed or rewrote history, but I do always wonder how our programs, if used correctly, could have affected the youth in Fulton County, for sure.
Chairman, I'd like to say one thing.
Go ahead.
As sometimes this stuff just comes down to common sense, right? I mean, if I come to you and I say, hey, you're the district attorney, you're a lawyer, and I say, hey, there's a misappropriation of funds because this program is for Fulton County and Atlanta Public School students only, and you have people coming from outside the state, then why not say, no, you're wrong?
Right.
You're wrong. That's just not how the program works. If I go to anybody running this program and I say, hey, I believe that this is a misappropriation of funds, this is not right. Nobody ever said in writing or verbally, hey, Amanda, calm down. You are wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. The grant says this. We get this permission to do. None of this happened. Instead, what happened was ignore her, push her off into the corner, hope she goes away. I'm the DA, I'm whoever, and I'm going to go ahead and show you that if you keep talking, you're going to find yourself on the outside of the situation. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a denial because Amanda has so many emails, so many recorded sessions saying, hey, man, this is wrong, you did this, and nobody's saying, hey, no, that's completely wrong. This is not a misappropriation of funds. I could go, like I said, to one of the 50 states, pick any kid I want, bring them over here, use the Fulton funds for that kid, no problem.
Who decides which kids get to go to the, basically, summer camp?
Well, it would have been me had I not been taken off of it. But in this regard, it was Mr. Cuffey, to my knowledge. And the youth, they apply for it, and then ultimately, unless there's some huge red flag, we usually take them. Again, under Mr. Howard, it was 80 to 120 youth, so it wasn't too many that we turned around or turned away. However, again, according to my understanding, if you were out of state or out of county, that's automatic. You're not within the confines of the grant. So.
And that's reflected, I've marked it as Exhibit 3, that participation application that says you must be in Fulton County.
Yes.
And then on the second page, the website that describes the program says 6th to 9th graders from Atlanta and Fulton County Public Schools.
Correct.
Okay. And then again, on that third page, it says the youth program accepts 6th to 9th graders from Atlanta and Fulton County Public Schools.
Yes.
Right. So there is another exhibit that you gave me, number 4, is the last page in our little thing, junior DA funding breakdown.
Yes, that's correct.
You got that?
Yes.
Tell me, what's the significance of this?
This was an invoice that was sent internally from the grants division. As you see, Michelle Henry sent this email out. And as you see, the second line says this is for junior DA programs funding breakdown, and this is for 2021. Line 2 says 27-inch iMac computer valued at $1,799. Line 3 said Zoom small teams. It was like for a Zoom credentials valued at $2,120.25 for a total of $3,919.25 of the the junior DA program was spent on those items.
So it's your contention those items are not permitted under the grant?
Correct. Another just kind of concern that I had is that it shows $12,500 was spent on blazers and patches for 125 students. But in 2021, we only serviced 40 students, so I'm not quite sure why we spent that much on 125 blazers.
Got it. Okay, on Exhibit 2, it says budget summary at the top of it.
Yes.
Where did that document come from?
So Exhibit 2 is not junior DA. This was the OJJDP grant, the one with the project narrative as it correlates with Exhibit 1. And this is the budget summary for the OJJDP grant, which is the $488,000 grant. And I've highlighted line D where it says equipment. And then you can kind of follow it over, and it says 0 equipment for all years of the grant.
So you didn't ask for money to be used for equipment?
No, there was no money for any equipment.
And when the budget was provided before they released the funds, it showed you would not be spending any money for equipment?
Correct.
Okay.
And if you see the page behind it, it does say Gang Prevention Program. It says grant.
Up there in the upper left-handed corner?
Correct.
Okay.
It says, but if you see at the bottom, it says District Attorney Grant, and then unit, it says Gang Prevention Program, so that was the OJJDP grant. And this says $1,245 to Dell Marketing, which would have been non-applicable for the grant.
That would have been a Dell computer?
Yes.
Or some type of computer sold by Dell?
Correct, and that would not have been in the confines of the grant.
So that was your point for bringing this, to just give us an example of if one really specific, we know this proves that a computer was bought, it was spent from money from the grant prevention program.
Correct.
The gang prevention program, from your grant.
Yes.
Okay. And this is what you brought to Cuffey's attention before he did this purchase. You said, you can't do that.
Yes, that's correct.
And then you went and told Fonnie Willis the same thing.
Correct.
Okay. And that's when she told you what? Let me be very clear about this, or listen to what I say? What?
Yes.
Okay.
She said that, I hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I want you to really listen to the words that I'm saying. So at no time did I told her in that audio recording that the grant is very specific. We cannot do that, and that was her reply.
Okay, I got off track, Mr. Williams. So
no
you were telling me about difficulty obtaining the documents in the discovery process.
Yes.
Did you also submit requests for production of documents to the DA's office in that litigation?
Yeah, we have that, and we're waiting on some documents. Now, opposing counsel in the case been fine. I mean, I go way back with Miss Hannah Rita, and she's good to work with. It was that open records request that just kind of, I said, hey, I can get this thing in 3 days, or you got to give me something, give me a good reason why I can't. And I just 30 days passed, 60 days passed. It's not worth me filing a lawsuit about it, but it was just obstructionist in my opinion.
Are you aware that there is a lawsuit against her by Ashley Merchant or her client on an open records request?
And I wasn't.
Okay. Are you aware of any lawsuits against the DA's office for refusal to comply with open records requests?
I'm not, but it wouldn't surprise me based on my experience.
As an attorney, do you believe that that office is exempt from Georgia's open records law as a constitutional office or any other reason?
Absolutely not. It's a government agency at the end of the day. Now, I'd love to see the legal argument about that, but it's a government agency. If it's headed by a constitutionally elected, that's like saying that we can't get the sheriff, anything from the sheriff's office, because he's constitutionally elected.
Okay.
I mean, no, I don't believe that at all.
Okay. Anything else? So that lawsuit will be going through the process as you're completing depositions this summer.
That's right.
Will Miss Willis be deposed?
She is. I think her deposition is sometime next month, towards the end of next month.
Okay.
And so I think, I can't remember the exact date because it just came across like last week, but I know that opposing counsel absolutely wants to depose her, and just so you know how it goes, see how she stands up to examination, that good stuff, damages, stuff like that.
Because she's a relevant fact witness to the retaliation.
Yeah, very important. Whether or not DA Willis is deposed, that just depends on the law. Georgia has that kind of apex doctrine, so before you can go after a government official such as Fonnie, you gotta have to show that you can't get it from somewhere else and all that kind of stuff. But so it's gonna depend on who says, I don't know, I can't recall, or denies things prior to me going after a deposition with her.
Okay. All right. Anything further you want to add?
No.
Okay. Back to you then, Ms. Timpson. I'm going to try to wrap this up because I know folks